Choosing Home by ginnyrules27. Chapter 22. Uma sighed as she made her way into Harry's dorm. School may have been done, and technically he could have gone back to Elizabeth Turner's house to relax or anything, but seeing as Mal and Ben were still trying to tie up loose ends, Harry and Jay opted to stay at Oridon Prep. As did Uma. If Mal needed them there for any reason, they'd be there.
You decent? I'm a VK, Uma. When are we ever decent?
Harry chuckled as he picked his head up from his pillow. Jay wasn't there. He was in the nurse's office getting the scratches on his arm taken care of. Harry had been determined to break free from Jay's grip after all. After that, though, Harry was sure that Jay'd be with Lonnie.
You're taking Jay's joke, Uma told him. You took Mal's,
Harry said as he plopped his head back onto his pillow.
I should go get Harriet and CJ, let them know it's all over, you know.
Uma nodded as she sat down on Jay's bed.
I'm glad they're still at Evie's, though. I wanted to talk to you. About what, Captain?
Harry asked as he sat back up, propping himself on his elbows as he looked up at her.
About what you said, after you knocked Freddie on his ass.
Oh, right. Harry nodded and sat up, swinging his feet over so that he was looking right at her.
I meant it, by the way, Uma. I know I'm breaking about 50 VK rules, but I've loved you since I know what feelings were. The thought of Freddie being anywhere near you...
You know he wouldn't have gotten the chance, right? Uma asked.
Mal, Jay and you wouldn't have let him. Not to mention I'd have skewered him if he beat you three.
Harry gave her a small smile, a smile that Uma returned as she got up and sat next to him.
For what it's worth. And I know I'm not the best when it comes to my feelings, but I've felt the same.
Harry turned his neck so quickly Uma thought he had broken his neck.
You have?
Come on. Didn't you ever wonder why I stopped talking to you for about 3 weeks when we were 13?
After I caught you with Mal? Well, yeah, I did. I mean, nothing happened with Mal, Uma. She wanted to know what a flirtationship was like, and I was the only one she trusted to not let it go further than just flirting. She said that the dragon said it made her look weak, not having a match. By the way, it felt wrong doing it. It was like I was flirting with Harry, honestly.
So, why do you do it?
Harry shrugged. Mal asked me, and I wanted to make sure she'd be okay. With Freddie and Zevon out there, you and I both know that detergent boy would have stopped at nothing to have Mal be by his side, and the less said about Freddie, the better.
That's true. Uma nodded, chuckling slightly at the nickname for Zevon, going off the comment Akio made months ago.
But why not send her to Jay? She came to me first.
Harry said.
To send her to Jay would have made her look almost desperate. Or like Blueberry. You know how she'd flirt with any of the sons or former royals to try to get herself a husband? But truly, Uma, it meant nothing. We ended it after you found us anyway. It was more awkward than anything.
Uma nodded again and then sighed.
So, where does that leave us? Between you and me, I mean. You're my best friend, Harry. And you're the best first mate. I don't...
Before Uma could say anything more, Harry gently grabbed her head and connected her lips to his. A shockwave ran through Uma's body at the touch, and she held back a gasp. She hadn't been expecting Harry to do that, but she wasn't going to lie. She enjoyed it. A lot.
Oh, God,
she heard Harry mutter as they broke the kiss, and she looked to see him staring back at her, fear present in his blue eyes, as if he was preparing for Uma to haul him off and slug him.
Uma, Cap'n,
Why'd you stop?
Pardon?
Uma chuckled.
Harry, If I didn't want you to kiss me, you'd be on the floor clutching your groin and begging for grandfather to forgive you, rather than still sitting next to me. I'm not going to lie and say I'm going to magically be good at figuring out my feelings, or be good at the more gushy stuff, but I won't say no to you kissing me again. You're sure? I mean, it was just a spur-of-the-moment thing. I don't want... Oh, shut it. Uma muttered and planted a kiss on Harry's lips, effectively silencing any protest from the pirate. She knew Harry was always more vibrant with how he showed his emotions compared to her. All you needed for proof was any interaction with Freddie, and Harry quickly became a snarling badger. But just because Uma was more subdued with how she showed her emotions, didn't mean she didn't feel them at all. She knew that being with Harry made her happier than she could have ever think she'd be. The month with him, when Jay and Mal were over in Oregon, and they were on the Isle, it was bearable because he was there with her. If Harry had gone to Oregon and Uma had been on the Isle all alone, it was safe to say Henry probably would have gotten a training partner in his 18-hour training sessions. Did you lock the door?
Harry muttered against her lips.
No. Why? Because I just realised Jay and Hattie could come walk in any time. Let them. Though Hattie's still up on a limb and Jay's got Lonnie to keep him occupied, so I think we'll have the room to ourselves for a while, Uma muttered, and deepened the kiss. She wasn't ashamed of her feelings for Harry. But when they were on the Isle, she knew that feelings was something that someone could use against you. If she was honest about her feelings and Freddie somehow found out, Harry would have had a dagger in his gut the next time their two gangs faced off. But they weren't on the Isle anymore. They were in Oregon, where no one would use someone's feelings against them. Well, unless that someone was Mal, but that was probably just cousinly teasing. You're seriously thinking about me when you're with Harry? Okay, I know Aunt Steph said you're never meant to mute your mental link again, but sometimes I think you work on it, Uma exclaimed. Nothing good on TV, cuz, Mal said, and Uma could swear she could see Mal shrug. Aren't you with Benny? Yeah, I finally got a chance to talk to him. I think he spent the whole week in his office. Oh, that reminds me, can you ask Harry if he's got any objection to Phoebus? Why? Just do it. How pressing is this, Manny? 'Cause I'm kind of in the middle of something here. Something rather enjoyable. Something you like to do with Benny. Paperwork? When in the world have you ever enjoyed doing paperwork? Well, I mean if it's with Ben. Though, honestly, I prefer kissing. Oh, dear gods! You're talking to me while kissing! Harry! It's called multitasking, cuz. Nope, sorry, can't hear you. I'm too busy calling Jay because the moment has arrived. I thought for sure you were just going to brush off Harry's confession after he knocked out Freddie, but you didn't, and now you're both out of denial, and Jay and I don't have to shove you two into the storage closet on the Lost Revenge and lock the door to get you guys to admit your feelings. What? Stop thinking and kiss the boy who's practically a brother to me, Uma. That's an order! Jay, our long-time nightmare is over! You do know Jay doesn't have a... and she's gone. Uma thought with a small mental shrug as she went back to kissing Harry. A kiss that was soon interrupted by Jay almost crashing through the door. Don't you have a lass you should be kissing? Harry exclaimed, nearly jumping out of his skin at the noise. Thankfully his hook had been on his bedside table, so Uma hadn't been in any danger of getting scratched. Mal said the day of reckoning is upon us, and if I didn't want to miss you two finally getting out of your denial, then I was to race to the dorm, Jay stated as Lonnie came up behind them, panting heavily. I swear to all the gods, Harry, you'd have better been actually kissing Uma. Lonnie, I am so sorry you have such a weird boyfriend.
Uma stated. We actually were just talking about that, Lonnie told her, having just caught her breath. And then Mal texted and Jay sprinted out of my room like Ben when there's a sale on books. Harry rolled his eyes. Seriously? And you just crashed in here, not even knocking? It's my room too, Harry, Jay said with a small chuckle. Besides, if you really wanted privacy, why not go back to Captain Turner's? She'd ask too many questions, Harry muttered. It was strange, but the only alternative mum he wanted was Lady Persephone. Well, other than Molly Smee and Harriet, of course. But Molly Smee had joined his mum, and Harriet deserved to live her life. So, what do we do now? Jay asked. What do you mean? Uma asked, looking over at him and tilting her head. Jay, you've gotten out of your denial. Spend time with your girlfriend. That's not what I meant, Uma, Jay stated, as he sat down on his bed, Lonnie sitting down next to him. Freddie's back on the Isle. We should at least send another report to Henry. Let him know what we know about him. Oh, you mean like he more than likely got a princess pregnant? Harry scoffed. Knowing him, he's probably bragging about it to his angels. Though, that's a good point. Would he? Freddie not brag about a fling? Jay, you know perfectly well that Shayla and Lachlan nearly kill each other every month for a chance to resume their flings with him. Getting a royal pregnant will mean he actually probably won't even acknowledge. Uma shook her head. You're both forgetting one thing. It's Freddie. If he doesn't have a fling a month, I'm convinced he'll go into hibernation or something. You guys really know him, huh? Lonnie asked. Of course we do, Uma nodded. Freddie's been a pain in our side since Harry, Mal and I were 5 and Jay was 6. Of course, it would have been very embarrassing to the then 8-year-old to get bested by 5-year-olds. Good memories, Harry said with a grin. Jay shook his head. The rest of the rats will deal with him, though I hope Ryan's okay. He seemed okay when we saw him back on the Isle, Harry pointed out. True, but CJ's his best friend, and we just basically made it so he's all alone over there on the Isle. You know Henry'll hold the under 15 rule, which means Ryan's pretty much confined to the ship when everything fun happens, especially since Brooke left to join the Angels. Wait, Lonnie said, looking at the three of them. You all just let an under 15-year-old girl join Freddie's gang? When you say it like that, we may have been idiots, Jay said after looking at the other two in shock. Though, it wasn't as if we could really do anything. Lachlan told Brooke that it was her or us, right? That if Brooke didn't join her, Lachlan would never speak to her again? Wasn't that what the two of you said? Yeah, Harry nodded. And then Lachlan went cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, as they say over here, and Gil's been trying to find time to ask Ben for a visitation day so he can check on Brooke. Not Lachlan? Why in the world would he want to check on Lachlan? Harry scoffed. Because she's his sister, Jay said. Harry shook his head. Brooke's Gil's cousin, and let's be real, if there was any sister Gil was going to check up on, it'd be Gia and Lacey. Those two are his favourite little sisters, anyway. How many sisters does Gil have? Lonnie asked. 9, Jay told her. 9? Uma nodded. Let me see. There's Piper, Georgia, Gillian, Glenn, Lachlan, Gia, Gail, Jean and Lacey. Gil falls in between Lachlan and Gia, and the twins come after Piper. The twins? Gaston and Gaston. Gaston named his twin sons after himself? It's Gaston. What about that in any way surprises you? Lonnie opened her mouth, and then closed it as if to acknowledge that Harry had a point. You know, Piper started up her own gang with the other girls, Uma said. Henry told me in a report he sent over. So there's now 4 VK gangs on the Isle. Jay nodded. Those girls aren't going to have any easy time of it, seeing as the casters barely have any territory, and they're the 3rd ranked. True, but it's better than constantly trying to get Gaston's acknowledgement, Harry muttered, and Lonnie's hands curled into fists. Well, on behalf of those girls, I could really go for a piñata right about now, she stated, causing Jay to look at her in confusion. Why? I'd love to beat the crap out of something, and then have some candy.
Actually, that'd probably be fun,
Harry stated, nodding.
CJ would probably love to do something like that.
Plus, then she'd get candy.
You guys go and find that thing, and we'll meet you back at Evie's.
Lonnie grinned and stood up, grabbing Jay's arm as she dragged him out of the room. Harry chuckled and stood up, strolling over to the door and shutting it.
That'll buy us about 20 minutes before they realise we're not at Evie's,
he said as he went back over to the bed. So,
where were we?
Well, I believe you were kissing me, Uma stated, a small smirk on her lips.
Aye, so I was,
Harry said, sitting back down.
So why aren't you? Believe me, I'm asking myself that same thing,
Harry murmured as he connected his lips to Uma's once more. However, it wasn't long before they had to separate again once more, due to the pesky human need for air.
You know, you keep kissing me like that, other people are going to know you're in love with me, Uma chuckled. Uma, Captain, I think that ship has sailed, considering Jay and Mal both apparently stated that we're out of our denial. Honestly, I think the only thing that would get them to react like that, other than our getting together, would be if Henry got himself a girl.
Uma couldn't help the sad smile that appeared on her lips at the thought of her crewmate. Henry may have been older than them, but he had no qualms about taking orders from Uma or Mal. And after they turned 15, he had come to them.
Captains, can I have a word?
Of course, Henry. What is it? Mal asked as the cousins looked over to see the redhead in the doorway.
I know the crew is concerned about me, Henry said, walking into the captain's quarters. Can you get them to back off, please? Jay keeps trying to set me up with flings.
Well, you know, Henry,
they just care about you, Uma stated. You train any longer and you're not going to have any time in the day for other things. Like eating. Or sleeping.
Henry sighed.
I don't believe in having flings. I know it goes against the Isle way, but I feel like if you're going to be with someone, you should be loyal to that someone. Like the crew, only smaller.
That's a nice idea, but we all know that's not how the Isle works, Mal pointed out.
I know, Henry nodded, but I'd rather not risk someone getting pregnant. The Isle's not a good place for a kid to grow up, and I wouldn't want a girl's death be on my hands.
Mal looked over at Uma and nodded before looking back at the redhead. Henry, I can tell you're holding something back, but I won't pry. It's your business, and Uma and I will get the crew off your back regarding the flings if...
If?
You cut your training back, Mal stated. I want all our crew at top form, but that also means you can't burn yourself out, okay? Start going on scouting runs if you need to do work. Henry nodded.
Yes, Captain. Good man.
Uma nodded.
I wonder how they're doing,
Harry said, pulling Uma back into the conversation at hand.
I mean, I know Jay and I checked on them when I brought CJ from the Isle, but a lot has changed.
All right, to Henry.
Ask how the crew's doing,
Uma promised and kissed Harry's cheek. Come on. We should go before Jay busts down the door again.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it past him,
Harry said, shaking his head as the two of them left to the dorm room to go and aid in the search of a piñata. Whatever that was. End of chapter. Hi guys, hope you enjoyed that. They finally kissed! Yes! Love that. I'm sorry if their voices are rather similar, but what can you do? I've gotten into the groove now. I love that they're talking about it, but also just like giving in. It's like the floodgates are open. I love that. And I also like the bit with Lonnie when she hears about what the Gaston girls have to go through. Well, rather the Lagoon girls. She just says, well, on behalf of those girls, I want to beat something up and then have candy, so I'm going to get a piñata. I love that idea, and I cannot believe I haven't thought of that sooner. Anyway, you guys know the drill. Like, comment and subscribe, and hit that bell to get notified whenever I upload a new video. Have a good day, night, or whatever time zone you're in. Bye my guys, girls and non-binary pals. I'll see you in another video. Take care.